Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into something that is both exciting and treacherous.
Ooh, treacherous.
Yeah, it can be.
Huh.
We're talking about the world of online money-making promises.
Right.
Everyone's always thinking about working from the beach, laptop in hand,
Right.
like just raking in the cash.
That's the dream.
It is the dream, and it's a dream that's particularly alluring in a place like India where, everyone wants financial freedom.
Absolutely. And what I find so interesting is how this desire for, financial stability, especially in a country where job opportunities can be limited,
Yeah.
it makes people vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for that way to break free.
Right.
And unfortunately, there are people out there who exploit that hope.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today.
Okay.
We're going to be using this investigative report called The Rise of Online Scammers, exposing Saheli Chatterjee and Ishan Sharma
Interesting.
to kind of guide us through this whole world. But before we get into it, I want to emphasize, this is not about, bashing success.
Right.
We're not here to hate on anyone who's made it.
Of course not.
This is about giving you the tools to spot those red flags so you can avoid getting caught in a scam.
Absolutely.
So you can distinguish the genuine opportunities from the elaborate facades.
Exactly. And to do that, we need to understand the tactics that these so-called gurus use.
Okay, so let's get into it.
Yeah.
First up, we have Saheli Chatterjee.
Oh, okay.
Now, she presents herself as this marketing maven, right? And she's always talking about her agency, Coffee Media,
Okay.
which she says has all these high-profile clients.
I see.
But here's where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
There's no website.
Oh, wow.
There's no real portfolio.
Okay.
No verifiable details about this agency.
So, like, it doesn't exist.
It's almost like Coffee Media is a ghost.
That's a huge red flag.
It is a huge red flag.
I mean, if there's no tangible online presence, it makes it hard to verify her claims. And it makes it easier for her to lure in clients who aren't, doing their research.
Especially clients who maybe don't have like a huge budget to do in-depth background checks.
Exactly, like small businesses, individuals.
Right. So if Coffee Media is this phantom entity,
Yeah.
where's the real money coming from?
Well, it seems like Saheli's primary source of income is her Freelance 101 Academy,
Oh, okay.
which is operated under a parent company called MB Fem Learning.
Got it.
Now, this is where things get a little murky because while a lot of online courses do offer genuine value,
Yeah.
some are just repackaged free information,
Oh, wow.
designed to take advantage of people who just want that shortcut to success.
And speaking of shortcuts,
Yeah.
let's talk about Saheli's portfolio.
Oh, boy.
It doesn't exactly inspire confidence.
Uh-oh.
We're talking copied designs,
Oh, no.
fake clients,
Okay.
websites that conveniently disappear when you try to look them up.
So shady.
It's all very suspect.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if her work is so great, why the need for all this deception? And I think the answer is pretty simple.
Makes sense.
It's to create a facade that's attractive to clients,
Makes sense.
especially those who might not have the resources to really check her out.
Right, like we were talking about before.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's move on to our second guru in the spotlight,
Okay, who do we have?
Ishan Sharma.
Ishan Sharma. Okay.
He loves to flaunt this lavish lifestyle, including what he claims is his 3 crore house.
Okay, so for our listeners who might not be familiar, that's roughly 30 million rupees.
Yeah, which is a lot of money.
A lot of money.
But there's a catch.
What's the catch?
The house is actually rented.
Wow, seriously?
It's all part of this carefully crafted image to project success.
So he's trying to make people think they can achieve this level of wealth if they follow his advice.
Exactly.
That's wild.
I know, I was pretty surprised when I read that too.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what else he's not being truthful about.
It really makes you think twice about everything you see online.
For sure.
But it doesn't stop there.
Oh, there's more.
What about his so-called groundbreaking Flappy Bird AI project?
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. What's the deal with that?
Well, that project,
Yeah.
it was lifted directly from GitHub,
No way.
which is an open source platform.
So it's not even his original work.
Not at all.
That's just straight up plagiarism.
It is.
This is why it's so important to look beyond the hype and assess the actual expertise.
Yeah.
Just because someone claims to be a genius doesn't mean they are.
Okay, so we've got a phantom agency, a rented mansion, and plagiarized code.
Yeah.
Is there anything genuine about these gurus, or is it all smoke and mirrors?
Well, let's see. Ishan does actually put out a lot of content, like videos, articles, the whole 9 yards.
He does.
But it's often criticized for being very surface level
Right.
and mostly rehashed from stuff that's already out there.
Yeah.
He jumps on trendy topics like freelancing and digital marketing, even AI,
Mm-hmm.
but his actual understanding seems pretty superficial.
It's like all that glitters is not gold.
Right.
Or in this case, all that glitters is just cleverly disguised tinfoil.
Uh-huh. I like that.
But this goes beyond just these two individuals.
Right.
Like, what is the broader impact of these scams?
No, the damage goes far beyond empty wallets.
Yeah.
It's about exploiting vulnerable people, eroding trust in legitimate online professionals,
Yeah.
and feeding into this dangerous culture of instant gratification.
Right, because these schemes often target those who are like desperate for a financial breakthrough.
Exactly.
And they take advantage of their vulnerability and their hope for a better future.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes it so insidious, you know?
Yeah.
It's not just about losing money. It's about shattered dreams and the emotional toll that takes.
Right. It's like a violation of trust.
And it also creates this ripple effect, doesn't it?
It does.
It casts a shadow of doubt on genuine freelancers and online entrepreneurs who are out there working hard and playing by the rules.
Exactly. They're the ones who end up suffering because potential clients become wary and hesitant to trust anyone.
Right. It's like the Wild West out there.
It really is.
But instead of tumbleweeds and saloons, we've got fake gurus and rented mansions.
Haha. Yeah, a different kind of danger.
But on a serious note, this whole thing really speaks to a larger societal issue, I think.
What's that?
This obsession with instant gratification.
Oh, absolutely.
Like everyone wants that shortcut to success, that magic formula to get rich quick.
Yeah, and that desire for instant results is exactly what fuels these scams.
Right.
But real sustainable success, you know?
Yeah.
Takes time, effort, consistent hard work. There's no magic button to bypass that.
It's like trying to build a skyscraper on a foundation of sand.
Oh, I like that analogy.
You might get a few floors up,
Yeah.
but eventually the whole thing's going to come crashing down.
It's inevitable.
And I can see how it's easy to get caught up in the hype,
Oh, yeah.
especially when you're constantly bombarded with images of these so-called gurus flaunting their supposed wealth and success.
Social media plays a huge role in that.
It does.
These platforms are designed to showcase the highlight reel,
Right.
not the behind-the-scenes struggles, you know, the setbacks, the failures.
Yeah, it's all about creating this carefully curated performance.
Yeah.
Designed to make you feel envious.
And like you're missing out.
Yeah, and that's exactly what these fake gurus are banking on.
They know how to tap into those desires for wealth and recognition.
Right.
And they use that to build an army of followers who are ready to believe their promises.
So with all that said, what can people do to protect themselves?
That's the big question, isn't it?
How do we avoid falling into these traps?
Well, I think the first line of defense is awareness.
Okay.
We need to educate ourselves and others about the tactics these scammers use.
Right.
And more importantly, the red flags to watch out for.
Okay, so let's delve into that a bit deeper.
Yeah.
What should someone look for when they encounter someone claiming to be an online guru?
First and foremost, always do your research.
Right.
Don't just take their word for it.
Right. Look for independent verification of their claims.
Like what kind of things?
Check for online reviews. See if you can find any legitimate success stories from their students or clients. It's all about looking beyond that curated facade.
So put on your detective hat and do some digging.
Exactly.
I like it, but even with research, it can be tough to know for sure sometimes, right?
That's true.
These scams can be pretty sophisticated.
They can be very clever.
So what do you do then?
Well, that's where your gut instinct comes in.
Okay.
If something feels off, trust that feeling.
Yeah.
If the promises seem too good to be true, they probably are. It's always better to err on the side of caution.
You know, one thing that really stood out to me in the report was the whole issue of portfolios.
Right.
How can someone spot a fake portfolio?
There are a few telltale signs.
Okay.
Look for inconsistencies like projects that don't really align with their claimed expertise or client lists that seem to have vanished from the internet.
Oh, wow. Also, pay attention to the quality of the work itself.
Yeah.
Does it look professional, original, or does it feel rushed, amateurish?
Right.
Maybe even suspiciously similar to work you've seen elsewhere.
It's like playing spot the difference.
Uh-huh.
Except in this case, the difference could mean losing your hard-earned money.
Exactly. The stakes are a lot higher.
And what about testimonials?
Oh, yeah. Those can be tricky.
Yeah, because those glowing reviews can be very persuasive.
They can be very convincing, but unfortunately, they're also easily fabricated.
So how can you tell if they're genuine?
Don't just rely on what you see on their website or social media.
Okay.
Look for reviews on independent platforms like Trustpilot or even forums like Reddit where people tend to be a bit more candid.
Yeah, they don't hold back.
Exactly. And if you can try to connect with people who've actually taken their courses or used their services,
Oh, okay.
get their honest, unbiased feedback before you commit.
So it's all about triangulating the information.
Yeah.
Getting multiple perspectives and not relying on a single source as your gospel truth.
Absolutely. You got to do your due diligence.
It's okay to ask questions, right?
Of course.
Like a legitimate professional will be happy to address any concerns you have and provide evidence to back up their claims.
Absolutely.
You know, there's that saying, the only stupid question is the one you don't ask.
Right.
But I know it can be intimidating to challenge someone who presents themselves as an expert,
I understand that.
especially when you're eager to learn from them.
Yeah, you don't want to come across as disrespectful.
But your money, your time, your future are on the line.
Exactly. You have to advocate for yourself.
So don't be afraid to push back and demand transparency.
I agree.
And if they get defensive or evasive,
That's a major red flag.
huge red flag.
Yeah, run the other way.
A genuine expert will welcome scrutiny.
They will.
They'll be open to answering your questions and addressing your doubts.
Exactly. They'll want to put your mind at ease.
So we've talked about the tactics these fake gurus use, the red flags to watch out for,
Yeah.
and some practical tips for protecting yourself.
Hopefully that's helpful.
But what about the bigger picture? You know,
What do you mean?
like what can we do as a society to tackle this problem of online scams?
That's a crucial question.
Because it feels like it's just getting worse.
It really does feel like it's spiraling out of control.
Yeah. So what can we do?
Well, I think it requires a multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
First, social media platforms need to step up and take more responsibility for the content that's being shared.
Right.
They need stricter verification processes for anyone claiming to be an expert,
Yeah.
and they need to crack down on accounts that are promoting fraudulent schemes.
We need some digital sheriffs to clean up this Wild West.
Yeah, we need some law and order in the digital world.
But it can't just be on the platforms, right?
It's a shared responsibility.
What about the users themselves?
Well, we also need to focus on educating the public,
Okay.
especially young people who are particularly susceptible to these scams.
Yeah.
We need to teach them critical thinking skills, how to evaluate information online, and the importance of skepticism.
Especially when it comes to get-rich-quick schemes.
Exactly, because if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
It's about empowering people to be savvy digital citizens.
Yeah.
And that starts with education.
Absolutely, and we can't forget about law enforcement.
Yeah.
Agencies need to step up their efforts to investigate and prosecute these cases.
It's about sending a clear message that exploiting people's trust and dreams has consequences.
That this kind of behavior won't be tolerated.
We need to work together to create a safer and more ethical online environment for everyone.
I agree, it's a collective effort.
Yeah, it really does take a collective effort.
Yeah.
You know, platforms, law enforcement, educators, individuals, all playing their part.
Everyone has a role to play.
It's like a digital neighborhood watch.
I like that analogy.
We all need to look out for each other and report any suspicious activity.
Exactly. And if you've been a victim of one of these scams, don't be afraid to speak out.
Right.
Share your story. Warn others. Report it to the authorities.
Yeah.
You know, your experience could help prevent someone else from falling into the same trap.
It's about taking back our power, you know, and not letting these scammers operate in the shadows.
Right. Silence only benefits them.
By speaking up, we can create a more transparent and accountable online ecosystem.
Couldn't agree more.
Sunlight is the best disinfectant, as they say.
It really is.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
That's a good question.
What's the most important piece of advice you can offer?
I would say always be skeptical,
Okay.
especially when it comes to anything that promises get-rich-quick results.
Right.
If it sounds too good to be true,
Yeah,
it probably is.
it probably is.
Do your research, trust your gut, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
Lots of questions.
Lots and lots of questions.
And remember, genuine success.
Yeah.
It takes time, effort, and consistent hard work. There's no substitute for that.
There's no magic formula, no secret hack, no shortcut to bypass the process.
Right.
It's about building a solid foundation, developing your skills, putting in the work, and being patient.
And if you're considering investing in any online course or program, make sure it aligns with your goals, your values, and your budget.
That's a good point.
Don't get swept up in the hype or pressure to keep up with the Joneses.
You don't need to compare yourself to others.
Make informed decisions that are right for you,
Mm-hmm.
your circumstances, and your long-term aspirations.
Very well said.
Well, I think we've done a pretty good job of unmasking these so-called gurus,
I think so too.
exposing their tactics and giving our listeners the knowledge to protect themselves.
Hopefully people feel more empowered now.
But before we go, I want to leave everyone with one final thought.
Okay.
What role do social media platforms play in perpetuating these scams, and what can be done to hold them accountable?
That's a crucial question, and one that deserves a deep dive of its own.
It really does.
You know, the algorithms that drive these platforms often prioritize engagement over accuracy.
Right.
Which means that sensationalized content, even if it's misleading or harmful, can spread like wildfire.
It's true.
We need to demand more transparency from these platforms, push for changes that prioritize user safety and well-being over profits.
It's about recognizing that these platforms have a responsibility to protect their users from harm.
Absolutely.
Just like any other business.
Exactly.
And we as consumers have the power to demand better.
We absolutely do. It's time to take a stand and create a digital world where honesty, integrity, and genuine value are rewarded, not exploited.
That's a powerful message to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Stay skeptical, stay informed, and stay safe out there.